Now let's start with the curiosities, by the way.
Yeah.
Language.
I do feel very, very lucky to know Irish, to teach Irish. And, you know, if you visit Ireland, you'll see Irish on every road sign.
Yeah.
When you were there, maybe you remember. So it gives us a great insight into the history of places and what mattered to our ancestors. And yeah, I think there is great hope for the language. It's a very exciting time. I'm going to a festival soon and they're calling it the Irish Wave. And maybe because of also on Colleen Keown, this Oscar-nominated film was all in Irish, which was in the last Oscars. Stunning film, I would highly recommend, called The Quiet Girl in English.
Quiet Girl.
And a few other things coming up about Irish. Yeah, Irish celebrities speaking Irish on the red carpet, and, you know, a lot of new restaurants and cafes opening around Ireland with Irish names. So that's kind of a talking point to say, oh, what does it mean? You know, this bakery is called Iran, meaning bread.
Nice.
Lots of cool things like that happening. But yeah, you asked about curiosities about the language, and there are so many funny things. Like, we have no word for yes or no in Irish.
That one. Yeah, I knew
that.
Yeah. But how is that? How do you say yes then?
So you can't. I mean, you answer with the verb. So if you asked me like, oh, Mollie, do you drink tea? I would have to say, I drink, or I don't drink, using the verb to drink. Or if you said, yeah, do you drive? I drive, I don't drive. There is a copula structure. So if you asked me, are you a teacher? It's a little bit like ser and estar in Spanish.
Okay.
That one is more permanent or maybe more about identity. The other is more transient and temporary. So if you said, are you a teacher? I would say, it is so. And that would be sha. So a lot of people think sha means yes, but it's not applicable to every question. Like, I couldn't answer sha if you asked me, are you at home on will to sawalia? I would have to answer ta, meaning I am, from the be verb. So that's a cool thing. We don't have a verb to have either. We actually use the be verb and we say things are at us, or it is at me. So I find that really, really fascinating. The alphabet is also quite cool, that the letters, you know, can sound different ways depending on whether they are broad or slender. Broad vowels being A, O, and U, slender I and E. And we have, this system of stress on the first syllable. So that could be why there's such music in the language, that we're always stressing the first syllable, unless there's a fada. So the fada is the accent over the vowels, elongating them, because fada means long. So for example, the letter A, if there's a slant, a forward slant over it, we would say aw. So this is one of the features of the language. There's no present perfect.
Okay.
So we don't say like, I have been to the shops. We say, I'm after going to the shops.
Interesting.
I'm after eating my dinner.
You know something interesting? We were talking about the fact that I live in Galicia, the northwest area of Spain, and I mentioned that is the only Celtic territory without a Celtic language, because they speak Galician here, right? Well, they don't have present perfect.
Wow. Interesting.
They don't have any compound tense.
So how do you express things like the present perfect,
past
for
simple.
example? Really?
Yeah.
Do you insert a word like yeah or?
No, you just say. They use the past simple for everything.
Wow.
Or any kind of simple or continuous, but I mean, no compound tenses.
Interesting.
And
cool.
Because the thing is that which makes this interesting is that they don't actually have any trace of Celtic languages, as far as I know. Because they spoke before Galician, they spoke Galaico-Portuguese. Which is was kind of a mixture between Portuguese and Galician, but still Romance language, you know. So it is interesting that they have this feature.
Yeah. And this is cool because a lot of these structures in Irish we kind of adopted into English. It's like we're still speaking Irish, but using English words.
Yeah.
So there are so many structures you'll hear, or you have heard in Ireland, that wouldn't be easily understood in Australian English or British English or American English. Like, I'm after doing my homework instead of I have done my homework. We have a lot of onomatopoeia in the language. So, for example, adjectives can tend to end with ach, this ach sound, like ufasach is terrible, or salach is dirty. So people have kind of analyzed this and said, maybe that's why the Irish are so expressive and we exaggerate everything and we're very emphatic people because of this like very guttural sound
I love
in Irish.
Sound. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. We also have,
The Galician has a sound too.
Really?
Only in some regions, Only in some regions. They have, and that's actually a feature that is usually, perceived as something bad, It happens a lot in languages when you have a distinctive feature in the variety that you speak. It's usually seen as something negative, So it happens here as well. They have that sound only in some specific regions in the coast. And it's called geada. So, for example, is a G, the letter G, for example, when you say gato, which is cat in English. So instead of saying gato, they would say jato.
Ah, okay.
So it's quite similar too. So I don't know if it's something in common, really with a common ancestor.
Possibly, yeah. I love to think that languages are kind of incorporating the landscape around them. That in a hilly place or a rugged place or a windy, rainy place, the language can be more sharp or kind of...
Yeah, I think the languages adapt to their geography. You can see that all the time. I don't know in Irish, but here in Galicia is a very rainy area. And in Galician, they have like 40 words for rain.
Yeah, we do too.
And in the rest of the countries, we're like, we don't need them.
Yeah, we don't know them. Yeah, it's another language.
So how many words do you have for rain then? Because Ireland is the country of the four seasons in the same day.
Exactly.
So
I don't know. I haven't counted, but I'm always thinking of more. But we have some beautiful ones like ag stalabashti, which really means injecting rain. So this kind of rain that's so painful. It feels like needles,
Sure.
And we have, soft Irish mist and all of these different beautiful ways to describe rain.
Great.
Yeah. Another thing I was thinking was Irish is verb, subject, object. So the verb comes first.
Right.
So quite different to English or many other languages. I think other verb first languages would be like Arabic, Hawaiian, Tongan.
I think Basque too.
Really?
I think so. Not sure though, but it rings a bell to me that it is. But the difference, we don't know the origins yet.
And I like to think that it has some link with the tradition of storytelling, the way it's very kind of immediate, the way we speak, and we want to bring all the liveliness into the beginning of the words as well, or the sentence.
Yeah, like in, for example, Latin, we place first in the sentence what we think is more important. So, we would make that a rule for a language, right? Like, before you have to say this or that.
True.
Yeah. Sounds cool too. But the question now is, we're still talking about curiosities, but how does a language survive? Because being such an old language, like, how does it continue to live? Because maybe what I mean is nowadays language evolved by incorporating new words. What about Irish?
Yeah. So we have a committee called Feras na Gaeilge, and they can create new words that come into our lexicon. For example, even love bombing. There's a new Irish word like gianvala, meaning like seducing with affection. And éist féist is literally listen monster, which means earworm. I think it's great that they're not just mimicking the sounds of an English word. There are those too. For example, brunch, that meal between breakfast and lunch, in Irish is brunche. So sometimes a word is created that just sounds like the English word, or there's a joke in Ireland, like if you can't remember the word in Irish, you just add oil or oliocht. So you would say like, I went surfing, you would be like, Chui me surf oliocht, surf oil. And some words are really like that. Like that is a real word, surf oil.
It's like the general pattern.
It's great that there's a movement towards creating a new word with real words. Spooning, for example, they didn't want to say spoon oil. So they would say egg. Something like egg tort an toan leishanocht. Something like this, like putting your ass with the lap.
Uh-huh.
So even if it's like 7 or 8 words long, it still means the same thing, and it's more vibrant. More of a visceral, tangible translation.
It has another effect on the listener.
Yeah.
On the listener.
Yeah. And I think also there's a lot of creative projects, a lot of Gaelscoileanna, and like I said, schools opening up with a lot of parents who are really eager to have their kids educated through Irish. In fact, fia is an old Irish word meaning deer and wild. And this is the most popular girl's name in Ireland right now for the last 3 years.
I was gonna say, like, it rings a bell to me. I don't know why, but fia is a girl name. So
I think through the names, people are also eager to preserve the meaning of these words, and a lot of them are connected to nature. Names like Oisín is like a baby deer, and Saoirse is freedom, and Blaheen is like little flower.
But all those are people's names.
Yeah.
Because that's
exactly
that's cool. That's cool. We were talking about in a previous interview about Basque, and one of the features, one of the interesting things was that many names were had a meaning. Like, I think one of them was Kites, which means storm.
Okay.
Like, how cool to be called Storm, like
yeah.
So yeah,
I remember that I had a lot of students in the Basque Country. I was teaching English there, and there were some amazing names. Yeah, Amaya. Yeah.
And well, not all the names, like also general vocabulary. Like you said, in Irish as well. Like it's interesting how the language show the way they saw life. Thing.
Exactly.
So
I was listening to
a deeper meaning.
Yeah, I was listening to a beautiful story on the Mott about an Irish woman who had 5 sisters, and they were attending her father's funeral, and she said, in Ireland, we don't say, I'm here for you or whatever when you want to console someone. You would say, Tá mé i mheasaflat. I'm in my standing with you. Like I'm standing next to you, and we are literally.
Like holding you, right?
Yeah. It's very special to think of these expressions and how we use them. Yeah.
Yeah, also, like, I don't know, Irish has it has a very mystic spirit,
True.
I think that's
definitely
one of the things that makes it so special, at least to me. It's like so special, so magical to hear as well.
I try to make this world a little